Here we are.
In another episode
of the Simple Success Podcast,
where we give you the absolute best in financial coaching, and even better,
this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective.
When in the course of community events, human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another.
DT, are you trying to confuse us?
Probably not, but do enlighten us.
Are you trying to equate Thomas, Doubting with Thomas Jefferson?
Maybe. Just changing me is all because...
well, when you put it that way...
I didn't put it that way. You put it that way.
Like I said...
But okay, right, you are.
And did I mention that I'm God?
You did not. Wow, this episode is unraveling fast, but nonetheless... Hello, John, and happy 4th of July.
Thank you, DT. Happy 4th of July. Happy American Independence.
Which is today's tiny bit of illumination for us all, isn't that right?
Well, we all certainly hope that to be the case.
Yes, we do. So, why the 4th of July, besides that being now or now-ish, depending on when you're listening?
Do you have an actual question?
I do, and you're welcome for me teaching you how to insult with questions.
Go on, then.
What's the significance of this day?
I'm glad you asked, because it's an important question for us to answer.
And, of course, this idea and this day were ordained from the beginning of time, correct?
Not exactly, but we'll touch on that part in a bit.
Well, we do sometimes get called the Great Experiment.
Still?
Yeah, still.
Well, that's partly because this country was founded on principles of liberty and justice for all. These principles continue to be at the core of who we are as a nation, even though we admittedly sometimes don't act like it.
Are you free, John?
Huh? Should I send you a calendar invite or something?
What?
You asked if I was free.
I mean, do you really use your freedoms to your advantage?
I'm thinking it over.
What?
You heard me, or I mean Jack.
You mean you heard me? But I'll repeat. Do you use your freedoms to your advantage?
I do, or at least I think I do. The good news is that you can view it from a different perspective.
Which is?
That you can succeed by trying to succeed. Or you can just do the Murphy's Law thing.
Is this connected to the 4th of July?
In more ways than you could ever imagine. You know, Hill talks about it in Think and Grow Rich.
About what exactly?
Have you read Think and Grow Rich yet?
Once, Alex. I'm going to do that more times, though.
45 times so far, Alex. Not that I'm comparing or anything.
How is July 4th connected to Think and Grow Rich?
It's all in Chapter 8 called Decision.
Go on, please. Please enlighten us mentally timid souls.
Okay, Mr. Sarcasm. There wouldn't be a 4th of July without the decision of a few of our forefathers.
Do tell.
Sure, DT. Hill tells us that way more important than July 4th, 1776 is September 4th, 1774.
He means September 5th. We know. Please don't email us about that.
Why is that?
Because that's the first time there was a meeting of what came to be known as the Continental Congress.
And
without that meeting, there could not have been any declaration. We celebrate the 4th of July partly because we know that without the sacrifices made by our forefathers like John Hancock, Samuel Adams, and Richard Henry Lee, we wouldn't even be able to enjoy the freedoms we have today.
What did these fathers of independence do?
They had to make a resolve and take action. They didn't just sit back and wait for someone else to come along and give them independence from the British colonialization. They took action themselves.
Weren't they afraid of the British?
Well, of course. They were afraid of being charged with treason, but they did it anyway. In fact, the British threatened to charge them with what they called high treason, and Hill says that the signatures on the Declaration were essentially them signing their own death warrant if the revolution had been lost.
So, what does the celebration of nationhood mean for us today?
It means that we have to decide to be more proactive than reactive. Think of success as a result of goals and definite decisions.
That's how it's going to tie to investing. And goals can be anything from making more money to being named among the U.S. presidents.
Yes, whatever success means to you. It could be even success in your personal relationships. It doesn't have to be money, although it can be, and in this case, that probably is the focus. But in any event, public holidays like the 4th of July should be a time of reflection, and we have to decide to take control over our lives.
And control starts with taking breaks to build our brains back up, right?
You think so? Daniel, without interrupting me, could you...
Break number 1.
Hello, everyone. This is John with the Simple Success Podcast, financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Because we know you want to show us some serious love in return for the tremendous benefits you get from us. Please head over to the support link in our written show notes. That's the words on your podcast player. There, you can choose from a $9.99 per month doing level of support, a $4.99 knowing level, or a basic intro level of just 99 cents per month. Great place to start. Whichever you choose, thank you so much for helping us do this for you. And to leave us a voice message, which just might see the light of day at a future podcast, go to those same written show notes. You'll go to a site where you can leave a video, audio, or text-only message, depending on how you feel at the moment. You can also send us an audio file attached to an email if you use just more than your phone for stuff. I won't repeat those links because weird. And anyway, show notes. It's all in there, and it's all easy.
Before the break, you were telling me a story of how these guys decided to put their lives on the line for our actual independence.
Yeah, they were brave. Like you have to be with investing sometimes.
Which is a great segue. What does the anniversary of independence have to do with success in investments?
Everything, DT. Everything.
Everything? Like what?
How many times have you put off making an investment decision for fear of failure? For fear of making the wrong decision?
Many times.
Okay, do you think you are exploiting your full potential in your current job?
I hate my job. I think I would do so much more if I had my own business.
Well, what's stopping you from starting your business?
Salary, John. The salary I get provides me with the comfort I need.
And do you go above and beyond what you've been paid for doing?
Why should I do that when I can be paid for the minimum?
Because you could be getting paid a lot more by using your brain. Think about it. When you're the boss of your company, you're going to want your people using their brains, right? And fear is also one of the most common reasons why people fail to achieve their dreams. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will.
That's right, but I'm not doubting myself. I just don't understand why I can't start my own business.
Because you haven't made up your mind to do so yet. You've got to decide whether or not you want something different. Then you have to make a plan to get there.
Okay, what if my friends and family have advised me to stay in this job I hate so much?
Oh, I get it. Opinions of others. Hill calls them the cheapest commodities on earth. He says that everyone has a flock of opinions ready to be wished upon anyone who will accept them. Are you willing to accept those cheap things?
Which cheap things?
The opinions of your family and friends on your career choice.
So I need to get free from that too?
Maybe. What you have to do is decide on what works for you, and then celebrate with your personal fireworks.
Do you have another example that doesn't involve me?
Sure, DT, I have another example. I just can't guarantee the not involving you part, though.
Why not?
Well, because the examples I use are very broad. They affect many people, myself included.
Okay, go ahead with the example.
Indecision starts way earlier in life. In school, for example, when students are selecting the subjects they would like to study. Most students rely on their parents to decide for them.
Isn't that the easy thing to do?
Yes, it is, but parents need to teach their children how to make their own choices. Some parents or schools don't let their children make their own decisions.
And some strong-willed children are labeled rebellious.
Were you a strong-willed child?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Yes, and I still am. Remember, you just made me last year.
Oh, that's right. Well, moving on for our newer listeners, labels like that can make some children conform and lose their decision-making courage.
I'll make a note for later if I have kids.
Ooh, someone plans to have kids.
If, I said, John, if. Focus. You were giving an example of decision-making.
Studies show that once done with college, many people just take the first job that's available and end up hating it later.
Who is that someone you're talking about?
It could be anyone. Maybe that child wasn't taught how to make their own decisions. Notice I said taught And I didn't say empowered, because that just means allowed.
Right, and I'm way more than just allowed. I've been taught, just like we're teaching our friends and listeners.
DT. And when the world revolves around you, we'll update this episode to talk about that.
The world revolves around the sun.
AI, planets are not revolutions.
But they revolve, right?
Easy on technology, DT. It's just trying to help you out.
Help me with what?
Help you understand that there are things which can get in the way of success.
Like indecision?
Yeah, and procrastination and fear and
the solution out of this is
goals, decision, action, repeat.
I will start talking about my goals and actions.
Good, but don't just talk about it. Tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it.
Are you quoting your friend Hill?
I always quote him. Do you have a problem with that?
Who, me? No, I'm intelligent enough to allow other people to shine.
Action is a real measure of intelligence.
Napoleon Hill quote detected.
Which is a great place to leave our listeners' minds until they turn them to the joyous offers housed within.
Break number 2.
We know a lot about you already because we know ourselves. For example, we know that you know how to listen to our podcast. We also know that you probably know how to subscribe. So as soon as you're done with that, tell us your story. We have ways you can contact us. It involves a special link where you can leave us a message. We may have an email address for you as well in the future, and we'll let you know if that happens. The reason for subscribing? I thought you'd never ask. When you subscribe, you automatically download all future episodes of that podcast. It just happens in your player without you having to go search again. How cool is that? This means better rankings for the podcast, more attention from advertisers, and more money. And this means more and better stuff for you. So your motivation is simple and easy. Subscribe today, whatever app and from whatever place you like. And don't just try to subscribe. There is no try. There is only do. We're changing the way we look at things, and remember, that's good. Eso es bueno, Sybil. Also remember, this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Coaching happiness. Our call to action is right in the show notes. Find it, and you win too.
Well, make this worthwhile for me. Tie it to investing, John.
Be honest, DT. Haven't you gathered some gems from this?
Well, I have.
To quote you, do tell.
Taking action and doing stuff rather than just talking about what you want to do.
And
never let those cheap things called opinions of others influence my decisions.
Great. And is there a third takeaway?
Feel the fear, but do it anyway.
Yeah, that's the difference between cowards and brave people.
You mean the Samuel Adams type of bravery?
Yeah. I mean, if he was a coward, you'd probably be singing God Save the Queen while waiting at the food trucks.
Right. I guess he wasn't then. I'll stick with the national anthem I know. Meanwhile, John, investments.
Exercise your complete independence when it comes to making an investment decision.
What if I lose everything?
Different topic, DT. Important, but a very different lesson.
Positive thinking can be scary.
It can, but everything in life involves risks. Even living is taking a risk. Getting out of bed. The commemoration of independence is a celebration of the risks taken by 56 Americans.
Do you have one example of someone who followed his investment or career dreams?
Yeah, one would be Edwin C. Barnes, who made up his mind to partner with the great inventor Thomas Edison. He fought his way into partnership with Thomas Edison. Despite the challenges he faced, he saw himself as a partner to the great inventor. Not just an employee, a partner.
Oh yeah? What challenges did he have?
Well, for starters, he hadn't ever met and never had any association with Thomas Edison.
And
he was born in poverty, but he did not let poverty stop him. Barnes traveled by freight train to Orange, New Jersey to meet Edison because he couldn't afford a passenger train ticket. The book, Think and Grow Rich, calls it blind baggage, which was the term for riding in a freight car instead of a passenger car.
What did Edison think of him?
Well, when he sensed Barnes' determination to succeed, Edison offered him the opportunity to work in his offices as a floor sweeper for a nominal wage, and this was an offer that Barnes gladly accepted, even though it wasn't related to Thomas Edison's main line of work.
In speaking of the first meeting between Barnes and Edison, Mr. Edison said, "When a man really desires a thing so deeply that he is willing to stake his entire future on a single turn of the wheel, he is sure to win."
No! Getting a floor sweeper job sounds like a slap in the face when you want to be a partner.
Strategy, DT. Long-term strategy and patience. Barnes knew that by temporarily working for Edison, he'd be able to learn, get to know his associates, and generally understand how Edison had built his vast enterprise.
Okay, but did he become that business partner?
Oh yeah, he did. 2 years later.
Whoa, 2 years is a long time.
Not when you're patient, it's not. Not when you know what you want. There is your example of a badass who pursued his career dreams. Are you convinced enough yet?
I am fired up and ready to go.
Okay, what will you do from here?
Oh, go watch the dazzling commercial fireworks display, of course.
And a ball game, I hope.
Yeah, and be part of the American celebration of independence.
Will you please read Think and Grow Rich?
I'll think about it tomorrow.
No, DT. You don't get away with being Scarlett O'Hara. You can't think about it tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Commit today. Remember that procrastination is the bad habit of putting off until the day after tomorrow what should have been done the day before yesterday.
I know I will start my business.
Well, good for you, DT. That's a start.
Thank you, John, for this thought-provoking thing you have done to me.
You're welcome, DT. I mean, what are friends for? And thank you for being part of this thing.
Let me go win now.
Yes, you do that. That's the attitude we need around here.
And it's how we've all gotten good.
Excusez-moi, that's my line.
Gracias por escuchar.
A la prochaine. This podcast and our other podcast are productions of Little Red Hen Industries. The supporting cast who helps me bake the bread includes
Techno King, John C. Brandy, Fact Checker, Abraham Lincoln, French Consultant, Virginia Mitchell, Media Expert, Favor, Abasi E.K., Psychologist, William James, Rabbit Hole Advisor, Dr. Mark Perrott, Sound Designer, Goodley Amo, Marconi, Spanish Consultant, Cameron J.K. Brandy, Videographer, Alfred Hitchcock, Audio Props, Les Paul, Inspiration, Napoleon Hill and Earl Nightingale.
We also have websites, and you can subscribe to both podcasts and get ebooks and other great stuff. You can send us a video, audio, or text message, but of course, you'll have to head to the show notes, either on your phone or on the web to actually get links and stuff. And those clickable links are in the show notes.
And before we forget, the artificial intelligence or AI voices you hear in our work come from the online tone generator, linked in the show notes.
Finally, you can find us on Podmatch and Listen Notes, where we consider guests and guesting on other pods.
And really finally, the music for our pods comes from Cute by Ben Sound, and from Piano Background by Nick Simon Adams. The sound effects credits go to Jackson Academy Ashmore, Canoe CG, Dr. Jekyll, Joe Payne, Everything Sounds, MK Play More Stories, ERH, and Just Good Inc. Yes, that's his name. All on freesound.org.
Paul.